Noisy pixel.
When Moon Studios debuted Ori and the Blind Forest, it was met with high regard and could stand alongside full-price AAA titles. Now the pressure is on with the long-awaited sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This title ends up bringing some of the same magic and fantasy provided by its predecessor, but if you're eyeing the Xbox One version, I would advise a wait-and-see approach. Ori and the Will of the Wisps takes place soon after the first game. Kuro's egg hatches and gives birth to Ku, who was born with a defective wing that continues to be a burden as she longs for adventure. After a few failed attempts at flight, Ori remembers safekeeping Kuro's feather and affixes it to Ku's wing. With nothing holding them back, Ori and Ku set off to see new sights, but then trouble soon follows as a dark, unfamiliar land met with a powerful storm blows them apart. Now Ori must navigate the terrorized land of Nuin and find Ku and uncover his true destiny. The opening sequences introduces players to new and returning characters, while providing insight on Ku's unique situation. It was easy to become attached to the narrative thanks to how well animated and expressive the characters are. When the controls are finally put in the player's hands, the desire to find Ku felt like second nature. I prefer games that show me the situations rather than tell me about it. This attention to detail doesn't stop at the beginning of the game either. Nearly every cutscene adds to the tension that Ori feels when trying to safely get through the dark areas of the Silent Forest. Story aside, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a Metroidvania style platformer. Players start with a few basic abilities, and as the adventure progresses, they get more skills to help with transversal and fighting. Before even acquiring the more advanced moves, such as double jump or dashing, I notice how intuitively Ori handles in basic mechanics. Jump arcs don't have much of a height, but the range takes Ori a decent distance. Swappable abilities come in two categories, the first being Spirit Shards. Spirit Shards are equipable stats with effects that stack as long as you have enough slots. With 32 Spirit Shards, the combo you choose will change Ori's effectiveness in combat and platforming. These range from increased damage resistance, sticking to walls, or even having trade-off effects like 15% damage dealing and receiving. The other category is the Ability Wheel, a quick menu that assigns up to 3 buttons with magic and attacks. From light blades, arrow arcs, and healing spells, trading abilities are swift. Again, this can be tailored to the player's choices, even switching up the button layout for attacks completely. There's even a bit of a balancing act to swap abilities for the right situations, as there are a lot of different environments and monsters that Ori faces. There's no right way to defeat a particular enemy, it's more like what's convenient for the player when tackling each situation. When it comes to enemies, Ori and the Will of the Wisps has plenty. In the later parts of the game, the difficulty starts to ramp up, but the steady rollout of skills and abilities matched my own knowledge of the game's controls, which made them easier. Enemy attacks are well projected, with fair warning to dodge once you got the attack patterns down. When it comes to the map's design, the interweaving tunnels and areas do a good job of laying out an adventure that feels full of player choice. Backtracking never felt cumbersome or annoying when there was always something to discover and something new to see when returning to old areas. On the Xbox One S I used for some of our playthrough, the game had slowdowns from the opening sequences that became more frequent as I progressed the game. Eventually, the slowdowns turns into freezes. Moon Studios is aware of the issue and noted that the game is expected to have a patch for it soon. There are recommendations to restart the game or the console, but I had a better experience just doing a full shutdown and turning the system back on, as restarting still had issues that even caused a crash. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a fantastic game that found a balance with its art and gameplay. At a glance, this game can be mistaken for a high-budget animated movie, thanks to Moon Studios' quality in animation and attention to detail. I understood the task that Ori and his friends were facing, and easily felt attached to the adventure. The game's current state on Xbox One is a huge shame. The stuttering, slowdowns, crashes break the momentum that Ori and the Will of the Wisps worked so hard to game. My experience on PC luckily was more favorable, as nearly all issues weren't present. Still, unless you have the luxury to switch between platforms, I would stick to the PC version until Microsoft and Moon Studios can fix these issues. Noisy Pixel is giving Ori and the Will of the Wisps a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Noisy Pixel is ran by a group of gamers who work hard to give you news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe here on YouTube to keep up with all of our latest content.